The city never truly sleeps, but on certain nights, it feels like it should. Detective Samuel Cross had spent his career chasing shadows, and tonight, one of the darkest lay open on his desk. A weathered folder bore a single name, Elisa Lam. Cross had read the name before, whispered on forums, dissected in documentaries, argued over by strangers who claimed to know the truth. But every time he turned the page, the story seemed to slip further into mystery. Elisa Lam was 21, the daughter of immigrants, a college student from Vancouver with dreams of adventure. She wrote often on her Tumblr blog, posts filled with humor, honesty, and at times, vulnerability. One entry spoke of her struggles with bipolar disorder, her constant search for balance, her desire to explore the world while fighting inner storms. Another entry carried lighter notes, book reviews, thoughts about fashion, snapshots of her life. To those who read her words, Elisa was both ordinary and extraordinary, a young woman searching for herself in a world too big and too cruel. In January of 2013, she packed a suitcase and boarded a bus south, making her way to Los Angeles. Her destination was the Cecil Hotel, an infamous building on Main Street with a reputation that clung to it like a shadow. The Cecil was cheap, close to downtown, and for travelers on a budget, convenient. But beneath its walls lingered a history soaked in tragedy. Cross leaned back in his chair, recalling the hotel's record. The Cecil had once been called the Hotel of Horrors. In the 1930s, it was a stopover for the desperate during the Great Depression. Over the decades, suicides were common. Men leapt from its windows, women were found poisoned in its rooms. In the 1980s, serial killer Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, called it home. Later, another killer, Jack Unterweger, stayed there while hunting his victims. The walls had absorbed too many cries, too many secrets, and now Elisa Lam had become part of its story. She checked in on January 26th. For days, she explored Los Angeles, visiting bookstores, cafes, and museums. She called her family regularly, her voice steady and cheerful. But on January 31st, she was due to check out and head to Santa Cruz. The call never came. Her family reported her missing, and the Los Angeles Police Department began a search. At first, it seemed like any other disappearance in a city that swallowed people whole. But then came the footage. Cross could see it in his mind, as if he had been standing in the elevator that night. The video showed Elisa stepping inside, wearing a red hoodie, her black hair framing her pale face. She pressed multiple buttons, one after the other, as if trying to send the elevator somewhere, anywhere. She peered into the hallway, darting quickly back inside. Her hands moved in sharp, erratic gestures, sometimes reaching outward, sometimes folding as if she were pleading with someone invisible. At one point, she flattened herself against the wall, hiding from something or someone unseen. The doors remained open far longer than usual, a detail that baffled viewers. And then, just as suddenly, Elisa walked out of frame, disappearing down the hall. The elevator doors closed. She was never seen alive again. The video went viral. Millions watched, pausing, replaying, slowing each frame. Some claimed they saw a shadow in the hallway, a footstep not her own. Others swore the footage had been tampered with, pointing to a missing timestamp. Strange jumps in the recording. Forums exploded with theories. Was she running from an attacker? Was she in the grip of a psychotic break? Or was she being haunted by something far darker, a presence tied to the hotel's cursed past? Cross sifted through the evidence. 3 weeks passed before the answer came, and it was as grim as it was unbelievable. On February 19th, hotel guests complained of strange water. It was discolored, foul-tasting, the pressure weak. Maintenance workers climbed to the rooftop, checking the massive water tanks that supplied the building. When one of them lifted the lid, the nightmare revealed itself. Inside, floating naked in the dark water, was Elisa Lam. The discovery horrified the city. News spread quickly. A missing tourist found dead in the very place hundreds of guests had unknowingly relied on for their showers, their coffee, their morning routines. Cross flipped through the coroner's report. The cause of death was listed as accidental drowning. No evidence of trauma, no drugs or alcohol in her system. Her mental health struggles were noted, and the conclusion was left at that. Case closed. But was it? Cross had lived too long in the shadows to accept neat endings. Too many questions lingered. How had Elisa accessed the rooftop? The doors were locked, the stairwell alarms armed. The water tanks themselves were heavy, their lids difficult to lift. Could she have done it alone? Or did someone help her? Rumors multiplied. Some believed hotel staff were involved, covering up an assault or a crime. Others whispered about guests with dark histories, predators drawn to the Cecil's reputation. Paranormal enthusiasts pointed to the hotel's past, claiming Elisa was claimed by the building itself, another offering to its endless appetite for tragedy. The online world turned the case into legend. Videos, podcasts, and blogs dissected every moment. Some exploited it, turning her final moments into entertainment. Others searched for the truth, determined determined to honor her memory, but the truth refused to settle. Cross closed the folder slowly, his cigarette smoke curling into the air. To him, the case was more than evidence and theory. It was a portrait of a young woman lost in the city's labyrinth, her struggles magnified by the darkness of a place that had consumed too many before her. He imagined walking the halls of the Cecil Hotel at night, the faded wallpaper peeling, the lights flickering, the silence pressing in. He imagined Elisa stepping into that elevator, fear etched on her face, shadows pressing close. He imagined her final steps, up toward the rooftop, and the silence that followed. Perhaps she had been a victim of her own mind. Perhaps she had crossed paths with someone who wished her harm. Perhaps the hotel itself, with its cursed reputation, played its role. Cross knew the truth might never be known. He whispered into the silence of his office. Some mysteries don't seek to be solved, they live on, haunting us, reminding us that the line between reason and madness is thinner than we dare admit. For Detective Samuel Cross, the case of Elisa Lam was not just another file. It was a reminder that the world holds places where the light rarely reaches, and in those places, the shadows keep their secrets. And as he closed the folder, the rain began again, tapping against the window like a reminder. Some truths will never be found. Some cases remain eternal. This is Crimson Files, where the darkness never sleeps, and the truth, no matter how deeply buried, is never forgotten.